The Terminator actor, bodybuilder, and former governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger, had a hip replacement back in 2002.
Yeah, bro, he was 55 years old and was suffering from hip pain to the point he needed a surgery.
What's very impressive is that he made a speedy recovery and even filmed the third Terminator film shortly after the surgery.
After years of extreme physical activity, bodybuilding, and acting, he may have an injury that led to severe damage.
Welcome everyone to DocPod. This is your host Franco, and today we will start an incredible journey with you in this podcast.
Nah. I'm Cristobal, your favorite host, and we're happy to announce the start of a medicine series made by students passionate about health and science.
Without further ado,
Let's get started. My grandma had a joint replacement surgery, and now she has a metal plate in her hip.
What do you mean by joint replacement?
You know, joints are our knees, shoulders, hip, and basically a part of the body in which two or more bones meet to allow movement. This is also known as articulation.
Oh, yes, now I remember.
Replacements, parts of the damaged joints are removed and replaced with a prosthesis of metal, plaster, or ceramic.
Whoa, man, it's crazy that these type of surgeries are now a common thing. You know, my uncle has metal knees,
Yeah, nowadays people have metallic pieces inside their bodies.
such like Terminator.
You know, joint replacements weren't always as these.
The evolution of these surgeries have changed people's lives around the world.
It's amazing how these replacements and techniques have improved over time a lot.
Did you know that actually the first hip replacement was many years ago in 1991 in Germany? This surgeon called.
Themistocles Glock.
Yeah, this guy used ivory, which is a hard material from animal teeth, to replace the femoral head, which is the ball on the femur, and attach it with nickel plated screws.
He used a cement made from plaster of Paris, powdered pumice, and glues. Glock's motivation was to help his patients suffering from tuberculosis that weakened the body and caused damage to their hip joints.
It's surprising how one thing led to the other. He just wanted to help people with tuberculosis and ended up making the first ever joint replacement in history.
That's amazing. His technique and experience was later applied for making more surgeries like this.
Yeah, and you know, it was back in 1919 that the first rubber prosthesis was used. A French surgeon used one for replacing the femoral head but had limited success.
This man, called Pierre Delvaux, used rubber as a material for the femoral prosthesis because it was one of the materials available at that time, and he believed it could replace the femoral head.
It's also important to mention that the use of rubber as a material for hip replacement was not successful in the long term because of its bad durability.
That is why some years later in England, a guy named Dr. Philip Wiles performed the first total hip replacement using stainless steel prostheses.
Whoa, this should have been really expensive. I guess it wasn't easy to implant a stainless steel joint that was attached to bone with bolts and screws.
The joint was made of precisely fitted stainless steel components, and it had the basic elements of the modern hip replacement: a stem with a round head that fits into a cup.
This surgery was a complete success and it became really popular in those times, introducing in stainless steel to the domain. Also, the success of the surgery led to the further research and innovation in hip surgery and hip arthroplasty.
Even though this was a great advance and improvement in joint replacement surgeries, this type of prosthesis was later replaced using other materials such as advanced ceramics and cross-linked polyethylene.
These incredibly innovative materials were introduced in the 1980s and they greatly reduced wear rates compared to previous materials.
Cross-linked polyethylene is the material plastic bags and food containers are made of, and it provides the necessary resistance to wear and are available commonly for total hip replacements.
Yeah, because of this medical advance, particle osteolysis and aseptic loosening have become less common with the widespread of adoption of cross-linked polyethylene. On the other hand, ceramics combinations seem to better withstand mechanical wear and a longer implant life is expected, being more useful for many people around the world.
And nowadays, these joint replacements are a common procedure.
That's right, over 1 million hip and knee replacements are performed every year in the United States.
We can say that joint replacements have improved a lot over time since it started with prostheses made out of ivory, then rubber, stainless steel, and now highly advanced ceramics and cross-linked polyethylene.
Yeah, nowadays plastic bag material is used for this type of surgeries, and the evolution of joint replacements have changed millions of people's lives around the entire world.
We are lucky to have these medical advances available for ourselves and the loved ones to live a better life.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of DocPod.
But remember, the journey doesn't stop here.
More episodes are coming, so don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and stay tuned. Peace.
Peace!